Alright, I'm done with my reviews. Only gotta send the bounty over to Josh. Sending the bounty overseas, what could possibly go wrong? Hi everyone, and welcome back to Keep the Peace. I'm Sokoda, and I'm back with one last, a bit late, Ninjago Dragons Rising Summer 2023 set review. This time we have Destiny's Bounty Race Against Time, set number 71797. This set was sent to us from the LEGO Ambassador Network, so big thank you to them for sending us this set. I'm excited to review it because I'm a huge fan of all the Destiny's Bounty sets we got so far, so I'm excited to see how this new one holds up compared to the old ones. This set has 1,739 pieces, goes for £129.99, $159.99, and €149.99 euros. So let's get into the review. Here's everything you get in this set. We of course have the bounty itself as our main build, the dragon side build, which is called Sora or Zanth in the show as we know now, and of course our minifigures. We have Kai, Lloyd, Wu for the old crew, Rapton as a villain, Sora and Eren for the new characters, and of course we have Baby Ryu. First, let's take a look at the minifigures, starting out with our Ninja, Kai and Lloyd, rocking the more standard ninja design, as well as Eren and Sora from the new crew. All of them have this new armor piece. Kai and Lloyd have a more standard flat hood piece, while Eren and Sora have their more specialized ones with Sora's cat ears and Eren's horn. Both of these pieces are dual molded. All of these minifigures have very nice printing on the torso and legs. You can see those prints a lot better without the armor and headgear pieces. Kai and Lloyd's design looks quite simple with a golden emblem of the first letter of their name in Ninjargon. Sora has a more complex design with a lot of small belts and smaller details, while Eren's suit looks a lot more custom made, like a hoodie with a dragon design on it. You can see that Eren has one orange arm that ties into that dragon design, while Sora has that super cool golden arm with detailed arm printing with multiple colors. It's really cool to get arm printing in Ninjago sets. The old ninja have new face prints in these Dragons Rising sets, and on the other side of their head they have these like mask-like versions on the back with some elemental designs, which I think look really cool. On the back of their torso they also have a cool dragon symbol with some cool elemental designs around it. Eren and Sora's designs continue to their back, of course. Sora has an alternate face, while Eren doesn't. Here's a look at how they look with their hair pieces, even though this set doesn't come with any hair pieces. I personally think the hair pieces work really well with those armor pieces. And here's also a look at how these face prints look underneath the masks. Our next figures are Wu, Rapton, and the Baby Ryu figure. Wu's design is actually reused from the Ninjago core sets, so it's a pretty normal design for him, with of course his iconic beard and hat combo. I personally like the tan in this design a lot. I'm a big fan of the core Wu suit, so I'm not too mad that they reused it, but I get why people criticize it. Rapton of course has his Imperium armor with a lot of like small sci-fi details and this black armor piece and the crux hair. He of course has his face print with the spiky teeth and his visor. Baby Ryu is just one piece, but it looks wonderful. It's a sand blue piece, it stands on a 2x3 area and has some printing on both sides in dark blue. I think this is such a nice design for the baby dragon. Here you can see the backs of these characters. Wu has the word ninja written on his back, while Rapton has one stud on the back for his armor piece. Here you can get a better look at the prints without some of the extra gear pieces. You can see Rapton's alternate face as well. Wu of course doesn't have one, otherwise it would show with his hat. We of course also get a bunch of gear for these figures. For the ninja we get a bunch of golden katanas because you can put them in the back of those armor pieces. Eren gets this new grappling hook piece, which is kind of a rubbery piece, so you can wiggle it around a bit or hang him onto stuff with his grappling hook. Wu of course, as always, gets his iconic brown staff, can't go wrong with that. And Rapton gets the new Imperium blade piece, which is this cool dual molded sci-fi sword with the trans orange blade, as well as this little chain build, which he probably uses to catch dragons. Now, let's talk about the dragon in the set, Sora or Zanth. Right off the gate, I think this is a very nice small scale dragon build. It kind of reminds me of maybe Chompy from 2020, but I really like dragons at this scale, and I think this is a lot nicer than a lot of the core dragons we got. Posability wise, we have mixel ball joints in the legs at like the shoulders and the ankles. We have a bunch of mixel joints in the neck as well as the tails. So overall, it's a quite posable figure. Looking at the build in some more detail, here in the front of the head, we have this little transparent horn. It also uses this newer slope piece with some printed eyes on it, and overall it has some very nice shaping with those newer slopes. It has a pair of big yellow horn as well as some smaller spikes on the side of the head. The legs are built around this SCCBS bone piece, and I think that works quite nicely. I think it looks pretty good. The feet have these tiny little claws, 2 golden claws, same in the front legs and the back legs. The back legs are built with those rounded plates and are quite a bit smaller, but I like the posture it gives to the dragon. The torso overall also has quite nice shaping. It uses a lot of those slope pieces to make it a bit rounded. It has 2 small wings which use those newer blade pieces in Keat Orange. I was a bit surprised that they were Keat Orange and not gold, but it's nice to get them in this color. And there's a bit of a saddle on the back where you can put a minifigure. This saddle kind of works as a rotating turret. You can basically just slide in a minifigure with this panel piece, so it's not connected by any stud. You can rotate the turret around, you can move those stud shooters up and down, and you can of course fire them. In the back of the dragon we of course have a tail. This one's built also with mixel joints with some slopes on top, and at the very end it has a katana. The tail is also quite posable overall. The dragon is pretty much completely symmetrical, so it looks pretty much all the same from the other side. I overall really like the color scheme of the light azure and the gray. Especially with the gray, the mixel ball joints kind of work a lot better with the overall color scheme and don't stick out as with some of the other dragons that use them. Now, let's move on to the bounty itself. First up, this is the overall look of the full model, and this is honestly a lot bigger than I initially expected. It's especially very long. It has a bit of a narrow part here in the middle and those 2 big red parts, I guess, in the front and back, with the little cabin in the back here with the thrusters on the side. So structure-wise, pretty similar to the other bounties, but the major standout is that we don't have the dragon head in the front here, of course. If we turn it to the back, you can see the other side of the cabin, as well as the big 4 engines on the back. And if we go all the way to the other side, it pretty much looks almost identical over here. We'll look at all of the features of this ship, starting from the back in a lot more detail, of course. Here in the back we once again see the engines. I like how they added those little white cones in the engines, so the trans blue pieces kind of shine way more because of that. We have 2 of these banners here in the back. These have big stickers on them that spell out the word ninja in Ninjargon. If we angle them down a bit, we can see there's a little lantern here using that pumpkin piece in red. And in this back area we have a little balcony which you can use to put some minifigures there. The cabin of the ship can be taken apart into its individual levels. We can take off the roof, the ground floor, and underneath there's some extra interior space. And we can look at these individually. If we look at the roof first, we basically have 2 angled black plates. And here in the front we have this little opening, and on the sides we have these nice slopes on the side area. But this roof can be kind of opened up here on both sides, so it reveals a little interior inside. And this area is just super cute. It's this little area built for baby dragon Ryu. We have a ball and a chew toy for him. We have some space to put your Ryu figure. And it looks really cute. There's a bunch of food items in crates behind him as well. There's some pretzels, a carrot, a drumstick, as well as an apple. So it's really cool that they have an extra area for the baby dragon. Next up we have the ground floor of the main cabin basically. We can see those red slopes here that tie directly into the bounty build itself, but those come off when you take off the cabin. In the front here we have this little railing piece with the golden dragon headpiece, and the cabin itself is Keat Orange with these little bright azure stripes, as well as these round windows and little lanterns here in the front. Looking inside of the cabin, here on the sides we have those little katanas on the wall. That looks quite nice. And here in the back we have this little table with what looks like to be this navigational tool, as well as a sticker on a 2x2 tile, which I think is a drawing of a dragon by Kai, which is quite funny. Up above that we have the big window, and there's another sticker here. This one just spells out Ninja once again and seems to be some kind of letter or something with a drawing of the ship on it. Next to this there are two of these little clips, and these connect directly to the roof. So you have these clips and that go into these hinge pieces, so you kind of have a loose connection which allows you to take off the roof easily, which I think is quite nice. Now let's take a look at the actual interior in the bow of the ship, and this is a very nice and detailed interior. We have a little TV here on one side featuring a sticker of what looks like to be a reference to the Kai vs Skullkin set from the Versus series, and it seems to be like some kind of fighting game, which is really cool. We have two controllers and some pillows here for gaming, and we also have two beds in here, and above them there's little printed compass pieces. Between the beds we have Aaron's Lloyd mask he found during the merge, and a katana above it. There's also some food items like sushi here and a little cup. If we look at it from the other side, we see there's a chalkboard with another sticker that seems to be some kind of rescue plan for baby dragon Ryu, as well as a piece of chalk and a sponge. I think this is really cute the way this is built. On the left there's also a weapon rack with some shurikens, sai and katanas. This whole area reassembles quite easily, and I really like how it splits up in the first place, so I think that's very well done here. In the front of the cabin there's, of course, as with every good bounty, a steering wheel. This area also has some cool accessories on the side of the steering wheel, like a brick-built telescope and a compass. And of course we can put a minifigure in here and spin the steering wheel as you'd want with a ship like this. Moving to the middle area, this part is for some reason very narrow and seems like it's supposed to be reinforced with steel beams with all these telephone pieces. This might be a fun reference to all the times the bounty is broken in half in the TV show. Behind all those telephone pieces you can see there's a little transparent blue stripe which is built with transparent blue plates, and this kind of leads nicely into the curved bit here on the side, which might be like an engine air taken, but it also has the transparent blue here. On the sides we of course have the big thrusters here in the back. You can rotate them all around as with a lot of the other bounties, but with this one this is like the flight mode, and if you flip them up it's like the way it's standing or it's on water. It has these little round bits here that are similar to a lot of the other bounties, and the thrusters themselves are built with like those transparent blue tiles, and they're a bit more rectangular than usual. For some reason there's like two of them, but I kind of like how this looks. In this middle area there's of course also the sails. The sails are really big, they have the word wind written on them in huge Ninjago letters, and this vinyl material is a bit more matte than it usually is. This whole function is basically integrated into this top area here. You can just twist this knob and the wings move into flight position or sailing position. Here you can see how it works. It basically just turns this little bit here in the middle, pushing it open or letting it close. But because of that, it's sadly always on a bit of an angle, so it's never fully open or going completely straight down. And while I like how the sail is slightly angled forward, I think this gives it a really cool and modern look. Sadly, combined with the knob being on the top, this leads to the sails kind of wobbling around quite a bit when you open and close the sail, and it feels a little bit weird. In the front area we have these red slopes here on the sides. In the show these look more like individual wood panels, but I kind of like this look a lot. We have of course a big sticker here spelling out Destiny's Bounty, and the same of course on the other side. Here in the front we also have a brick-built anchor on both sides. Sadly, these aren't on a string or anything, so they don't really move out, and they're a bit fragile, so they fall off quite easily, sadly. In the front there's these little slopes. They have a bit of wiggle room, but I like how they shape the whole front area of the ship. Above it we have this little railing with the dragon head pieces on the ends, as well as this little brick-built black railing area here in the back. In front of the sail we have this nice little area with some teacups and tea, as well as some pillows and a sticker of what looks like to be some kind of board game, as well as some plants on the side. This is the perfect area for some tea time with Master Wu. This whole area is on a hinge here in the back, and it can be flipped up so you can put in the dragon for the main function of this set. But before we do that, I want to show you how this area looks without the dragon in it, and yeah, I'm not really a fan. Sadly, there's like no floor underneath this part, and it's mostly just open with this one bar in the middle. And because of this area is not really that usable when the dragon's not in there. You can only really put minifigures on that bar, and it kind of looks a bit odd. I really wish this area had some kind of plates underneath, So you'd have a floor, that way you'd have so much interior space whenever the dragon's not in there. Now of course I want to show you how to put the dragon in there. You want to straighten out the tail of the dragon and move the legs to the back and have them very close to the body. There's this little hole here in the back and you kind of want to fiddle the tail in there so it kind of goes through there underneath the sail. Then you push in the dragon, the neck goes nicely over that front area, and then you can flip back that T area down. I do really like how the dragon fits in there, it works pretty smoothly, and I really like how the seat with the little turret is integrated into the ship this way. Here's a look at how the whole ship looks with the dragon in there. I do think it looks a lot better with the dragon in there than without it, but I do personally think the head of the dragon is just a bit too small for the size of this ship. Especially compared to previous dragon heads of bounties, it's quite a lot smaller and this is a pretty big bounty. That about covers everything you get in this set. We also get a bunch of spare pieces, of course, and quite some stickers, a lot of them on like bigger tile pieces. And here's a look at the instructions. It's fairly standard, there's an ad in the back, it uses the little progress bar as with all the other Ninjago Dragons Rising instructions. Okay, usually in my reviews, this would be the part where I give you my final thoughts and opinions about a set, but I want to do something a little bit different here. Since this is one set in a line of sets, I kind of want to talk about like the history of LEGO Destiny's Bounty sets and how this new one fits in, what it does well, what it maybe doesn't as well as previous versions, and kind of just talk about the other ships in comparison to this one. I want to focus on all the like big buildable ship versions of the Destiny's Bounty, so not like specialized stuff like the Sea Bounty, the Land Bounty, the DBX, or the 4+ set. And yeah, I kind of want to go over all of these. You can see all of them right here. We have the 2012 original Destiny's Bounty, the 2015 Final Flight of Destiny's Bounty, the 2018 Ninjago movie Destiny's Bounty, the Legacy Destiny's Bounty, and now this new one, the Destiny's Bounty Race Against Time from Dragons Rising. And yeah, let's start by looking at the 2012 one. The 2012 Destiny's Bounty is comparatively to like a lot of the later ones, pretty simple set. It's just like one board, we have the iconic dragon head in the front, we have the sails with the sail flipping open function, and we have this nice engine function where the engines fold out for the flight mode. We have pretty much like no interior, it's very simple in here, and it's just a very simple beginning, but this was kind of set the standard for Destiny's Bounty sets. This is where it all began, all the others kind of like try to improve on this original version. This was also a lot cheaper than many of the later ones, and I think it was a great playset for the time. But we later on got the Final Flight of the Destiny's Bounty. And here we have it. This is the Final Flight of the Destiny's Bounty from 2015 Possession. And I personally like to call this the king of functions. This, in my opinion, has some of the coolest play functions the Destiny's Bounty ships ever had. With this very different way the wings fold out. It's a very interesting shape, the way this works with those little wing segments basically, and you can move them on different angles. With this little hilt that comes out so you can just grab it and fly it around. And my favorite part is the way the engines transform. This is so cool. I don't think any bounty can rival this cool of a transformation with the engines. I really like this version. For me at the time, this was like the ultimate playset. There's so many small stuff to do. There's a little interior in here too, and this little detachable garage segment. So there's just so much play opportunity in this set, and this is like the ultimate playset, play function filled Destiny's Bounty in my opinion. Okay, we're gonna move on to the next one, which is the Ninjago movie Destiny's Bounty. This is it, the Ninjago movie Destiny's Bounty. This is my personal favorite bounty, and this just looks amazing. This is a massive set, it's huge, it's very wide and very long. Like lengthwise, it's kind of similar to the new one. The new one might even be a bit longer, but this is definitely a lot wider and more massive. This, in my opinion, is the king of looks. I mean, looks are very much subjective, but this is just so, it looks so calm, it pulls off the Asian inspired style so much, and there's so much interior detail in here. The different levels you can take apart, there's a training room, there's fully interior in here in the ship itself. There's just so much little detail packed into this. For me, this is the ultimate display piece, Destiny's Bounty. So while it's not maybe as much of a playset as the previous one was, this is much more of a display set if you want to have a nice set to put on your shelf. Next up, we have the Ninjago Legacy Bounty from 2020. The Ninjago Legacy Bounty is a bit of a special case. While it doesn't fully focus on function or doesn't fully focus on looks as much as the original, it's kind of an interesting mix because it has all the cool functions and it looks like a improved version of the old one. It looks a lot more show accurate to the original. This is supposed to be a legacy version of the original Destiny's Bounty. It has basically all the functions you want. You have the sails and you have the engines, and if you rotate them you get these mini thrusters in the front, which I think is so cool because they have that in the show, and I think it's so cool how they pulled off that function. We have some interior in here. It's kind of similar to the 2015 one where you can open it up like this. There's a bit of interior space in here, but nothing is as detailed as the movie Bounty. For me personally, this one finds like a great balance. It looks great on a shelf. It looks exactly like in the TV show, at least the most out of all the bounties. And still it's a fun playset with cool play features, cool functions, a lot of space for minifigures. It's very sturdy. So I think this is a very great design that combines functionality with design or looks. And now we have this new one for 2023 Dragons Rising, new generation of Ninjago, new Destiny's Bounty. And how does this fit in? First, looks-wise, this for me is a lot more like the Final Flight of Destiny's Bounty. More futuristic, less like old Japanese ship, more high-tech. And I think that works for a new generation of Ninjago. I know some people don't like the colors with the bright blue and the keyed orange. I think it works well with the dragon in there. Maybe without the dragon in there, it sticks out a little bit. I think the dragon head here, looks-wise, is for me a bit of a problem. It's a bit too small. We just looked at the other bounties. It's usually the dragon head is like a big centerpiece, a big iconic part of the Destiny's Bounty ships. And while I think it's a creative idea to have it be an actual dragon in the ship, I think it's a bit odd how small it actually is with it in there. Function-wise, we have the wing function. I think it's a bit wobbly. I like some of the previous iterations of the wing function more. And in the back, this rotation, you kind of have to do it manually. It's pretty much like the movie Bounty, where it's not really like a gear function where you move one side and it moves the others. But I think that's fine because this gives us interior space in here, and that's kind of the best interior area this new bounty has. Overall, interior-wise, I don't think it rivals the movie Bounty, but I think it's pretty good. Especially like the interior that's underneath here is really a nice area. There's a lot of great detail in here with the beds, the little sticker pieces. It looks very nice. I like this a lot. The big selling point of this set and the big like point of differentiation to the other bounties is the dragon. And I think the dragon function, it works well. It fits in there quite nicely. I think the dragon looks really good. This could be like its own set. I don't think they had to sacrifice anything of the dragon to make this function work. I think this is a great dragon, even like without thinking about the function. I do think though that they had to make some sacrifices in the bounty department. I do not like how this looks without the dragon at all. I think like it's very gappy here in the front. I wish there was some flooring at least to have some interior that's usable when the dragon is out. So the dragon function, it's a blessing and a curse. I think it's a fun function. I think it's a really cool idea. I do not like the bounty without the dragon in it that much compared to some of the old ones. So for me, I most of the time just leave the dragon in there personally. Those are my overall thoughts on this set. Let me know what you guys think. Once again, thank you to the LEGO Ambassador Network for sending us this set for review. I had a lot of fun comparing it to the others. I'm a big fan of Destiny's Bounty sets in general. I think all of the Destiny's Bounty sets are fun sets, but I think I had a fun time comparing them, what are their strengths, what are their weaknesses, and that was a lot of fun for me. Let me know what you think, let me know what's your favorite bounty, and keep watching for more cool content here on Keep the Peace.